I'm a 32-year-old man, and I'm getting married to my longtime girlfriend soon. What should be one of the happiest moments of my life has turned into a heartbreaking ordeal because of a deepening rift in my family. To give you some background, I'm my parents' biological son, and when I was 12, they adopted two boys who were biological siblings, Jack, who was 8, and Liam, who was 5. From the very beginning, it was clear that things were going to be tough. Jack came with severe behavioral issues due to some intense trauma. I'll spare the details, but it was significant. I tried my hardest to be understanding, but living with him was nothing short of exhausting. His outbursts were constant, and I often felt like I was walking on eggshells, terrified of setting him off. As we grew older, I continued to try to be there for Jack, despite everything. A few years ago, Jack fell into a devastating drug addiction. I stood by him through his darkest moments, supporting him through rehab, and doing everything I could to help him get back on his feet. It was draining and heartbreaking, but I did it because I loved him and believed that, despite our challenges, we were still brothers. Liam, on the other hand, was always easier to get along with, and I formed a closer bond with him. But even so, I always felt like an outsider. Jack and Liam's bond as biological siblings was undeniable, and I never quite felt like I was truly a part of it. It was like I was always on the edge, looking in, trying to be included but never fully accepted. The situation came to a head recently at a Sunday dinner at my parents' house. My son was working on his summer homework, which involved creating a family tree. He innocently asked Jack if he wanted to be included, and Jack just flat out said no. He didn't want to be part of it because, in his exact words, "We're not real brothers." He said it so casually, like it was the most obvious thing in the world, with no regard for how much it would cut me to the core. I was utterly stunned, but what shattered me even more was that Liam, who I've always felt closer to, just sat there in silence. He didn't say a word. He didn't defend me or even acknowledge how hurtful Jack's words were. He just let it happen. I've tried so hard to be supportive of both of them, especially Jack, despite the endless challenges. So, for Jack to say that, and for Liam to do nothing, felt like a gut punch. It was as if they were both telling me, in no uncertain terms, that I was never truly part of their family. In my pain and frustration, I decided to uninvite both Jack and Liam for my wedding. My fiancé has been nothing but supportive of my decision, but my parents are furious. They've made it clear that if Jack and Liam aren't invited, they won't attend either. It feels like history is repeating itself, with my parents once again prioritizing Jack over me, no matter how much it hurts me. I'm absolutely heartbroken that my parents would choose to miss my wedding rather than support me in this. I know Jack has been through a lot, but I've done everything I can to be there for him and for Liam, despite all the heartache. And now, I feel like I'm the one being punished for finally standing up for myself and setting some boundaries. Ida for uninviting my brothers after they said they don't see me as family, even if it means my parents won't come to my wedding? Comments. Snowybird 60, NTA Liam and Jack have been in your family for 20 years. If you all aren't family by now, what the fuck are you? I have a major issue with your parents. They're definitely the assholes in all of this. The minute Jack said that to your son, they should have spoken up and defended you. The fact that they let him get away with it and now are saying they won't attend your wedding is bullshit. I would tell them not to bother coming to your wedding and that you hope they'll be happy with their 2 sons. Then I would take my son and go full NC with them. Oop, honestly I've considered going NC with them in the past. But I've never had the guts to genuinely do it. I think my life would have been better off if I did it long ago. Reineke Fuchs 1991, it's kind of a guilt complex thing for adoptive parents. You hear so many horrible stories about biological kids being prioritized over adopted kids and that results in an overcompensation. Like you have your biological parents, you should be grateful, he had it so much worse, so we gotta make it up to him, even though they didn't cause this so much. The key is to treat your kids equal. If one does accomplish something, he gets a compliment. If he misbehaves, he gets consequences. Despite all the favoring, he still got drug addicted, so their game plan failed. Oop, I don't blame them or him for his drug addiction. Jack and Liam had truly horrible things happen to them both as children. Stuff I won't get into here, but you can understand it was the type of stuff that leaves lifelong scars on you. Even with the buttload of therapy they've gone through. One time Jack spoke to me about how when he's high on drugs it's the only time in his entire life where he doesn't constantly remember and only time he ever feels at peace. Obviously, I shouldn't be the one who is constantly picking up the pieces of him. But I can 100% understand why he got into drugs. He's still an asshole though. Haha yihim fine haha. Also, Op didn't say anything about Liam being part of the family either and maybe Liam doesn't even know where he stands with Op. I think this is worth Op having a one-on-one convo with Liam. Oop, I've always been closer to Liam than Jack. To be clear, I always considered them both my brothers. I considered Jack a pain in the ass, but still didn't think anything less than brother of him. Otherwise I wouldn't have kept supporting him. Oop on why his son was asking the brothers about the family tree. Oop, because he's 5 and just wanted to show off what he was doing. I have never said anything to plant an idea that they aren't my brothers. He doesn't even know they're adopted. Not because it's something we hide, just hasn't ever been something we really discuss as a family. Add uncles/aunties to the family tree was an optional extension, and he said it in a way of come and help me add you in if you want to be, not you don't deserve to be in the tree. You're honestly clasping at straws here. I have no issue with someone labeling me Ta, but don't just make up context to decide it. Update 1, August 18, 2024. I'm honestly still reeling from everything that's gone down since my last post. First off, thank you to everyone who took the time to comment. I've read through all your advice, and it's been a lifeline. But buckle up, because things have taken a wild turn. After hearing from so many of you, I decided I needed to talk to Liam. We met up at a pub, and I just laid it all out there, how hurt I was when he didn't say anything after Jack made that awful comment about not being real brothers. I was half expecting him to defend himself, but what I got was something entirely different. Liam confessed that he's been living in fear of Jack for years. He told me he kept quiet that night because he was terrified of setting Jack off, not because he agreed with him. Then he dropped a bombshell. Despite being Jack's biological brother, he's felt just as much of an outsider in our family as I have. The constant pressure from our parents to cater to Jack's every whim has worn him down, too. Liam assured me that he's always seen me as his brother and that he regrets not standing up for me sooner. Hearing that was a huge relief. He's completely on my side now, and we agreed that if Jack can't respect me as a brother, he has no place at my wedding, or in our lives. But just when I thought things couldn't get more intense, my parents decided to make everything worse. I sat them down and explained why I uninvited Jack, hoping they'd understand. Instead, they threw down an ultimatum. If Jack isn't invited, they're not coming to my wedding. No room for discussion, no empathy, just flat-out refusal. I was gutted. After all these years of putting Jack's needs above mine, this is how they repay me? I couldn't hold back anymore. I let out all the anger and frustration I've been bottling up for years. I told them how I've always been the one sacrificing, how they've always prioritized Jack, and that I was done being treated like I don't matter. I made it clear that if they choose not to come to my wedding, they're making their choice, and I'll make mine. With that, I walked out, leaving them to stew in their own decisions. Out of nowhere, Jack started bombarding me with the nastiest, most hurtful texts I've ever received. He accused me of turning Liam against him, of ripping the family apart, and had the audacity to call me selfish for abandoning him. He ranted about how he never felt like he belonged in the family and how it's all my fault for pushing him away. His words hit hard, but they also opened my eyes. Jack has spent his whole life blaming everyone else for his problems, and I've been his favorite scapegoat. This time, though, I'm not letting him guilt trip me. I didn't even respond, I just blocked his number. If he can't see what he's done wrong, then there's nothing more to say. Liam was livid when I told him about Jack's messages. He's more determined than ever to support me, and we've decided to go low contact with our parents until after the wedding. Liam's been a rock through all this, helping me with the wedding plans and making sure I'm not dealing with this mess alone. So, the wedding is still happening, but with a much smaller guest list. My parents haven't reached out since our argument, and at this point, I don't care if they show up or not. This day is about me and my fiancé, and I'm not letting anyone, not even my own family, ruin it. Thank you again for all your support and advice. I'll keep you posted if anything else happens, though I'm really hoping my next update is just about how amazing the wedding was. Fingers crossed. Comments. RocketM69_. Make sure you have security to keep Jack from crashing the wedding. Foxy, Sly, Old, Stody, Fox. Well, you may look back, in years to come, and reflect that your parents' reaction should not have come as a surprise. That doesn't mean it won't hurt now and that it won't hurt in the future. Fair dues to Liam though, and congratulations on having at least one family member who loves you. Update 2, August 25, 2024. Hey everyone, I wanted to give an update after everything that's happened over the last week. A lot has changed, and I'm grateful to say that things are moving in a much better direction. 2 days after the text argument with Jack, he reached out to me. I wasn't sure what to expect when he asked if we could meet up, and I was reluctant, but I agreed. When we sat down, the first thing he did was apologize. He told me how sorry he was for what he said to my son and admitted that he didn't know why he said it. Jack seemed genuinely remorseful, and I could tell that he really meant it. This wasn't just another apology to smooth things over, this was different, and it felt sincere. After apologizing, Jack took a deep breath and confessed something that I probably should have seen coming. He told me that he had relapsed before the argument even happened. Hearing that hit me hard. It explained so much about his behavior in the weeks leading up to that moment, the irritability, the distance, the way he was withdrawing from everyone. I realized that I had missed all the signs. I'm not proud to admit it, but I was so caught up in my frustrations with Jack's behaviors and my wedding that I didn't stop to think that something deeper might be going on. Jack's confession wasn't just about the relapse, it was about taking responsibility in a way he's never done before. He went on to tell me that after realizing the damage he'd caused, he had made the decision to check himself into treatment. This might sound like a typical step, but for Jack, it was monumental. In the past, Jack's only gone into treatment because he was either sectioned by social services and forced into it, or because my parents threatened to kick him out if he didn't get help. But this time, he made the decision on his own. That was something he'd never done before, and it showed me that he was serious about wanting to change. He told me that he is doing this because the prospects of losing me, his brother, was too much and he couldn't handle it. He wants to take this seriously because he wants to show me he can do it. He told me he sees me as his family, and he feels so guilty for making me feel like I wasn't his family. Jack has also agreed to start taking medication to help calm his nerves, something he would never do before. It's now been about 5/6 days since Jack checked himself in for treatment, and I've been visiting him regularly. At first, I went alone because I wasn't sure how my son would feel about seeing Jack so soon after everything that happened. But after a few visits, I felt it was important for my son to see that Jack was making an effort to make things right. So, I brought him along, and Jack took the opportunity to apologize to him directly. It was a really emotional moment for me as a parent. My son is still young and doesn't fully understand everything that's been going on, but he could see that Jack was sorry, and that seemed to make a difference to him. They even spent some time together, just talking and playing, and it felt like a big step forward for all of us. Throughout all of this, my brother Liam has been incredibly supportive. We've talked a lot about Jack, and it's clear that Liam wants to see him succeed just as much as I do. We both know how much Jack's trauma has affected him, and while it doesn't excuse his behavior, it does help us understand why he struggled so much. Having Liam by my side through all of this has made me feel a lot less alone. Reflecting on everything, I've come to realize that I need to take responsibility for my part in how things escalated. In the weeks leading up to the argument, Jack had been doing things that really got under my skin. Instead of addressing it calmly, I let my frustration build until I finally snapped. Looking back, I can see that his behaviors were likely tied to his relapse, and I should have seen that sooner. I feel guilty for not recognizing the signs and for reacting the way I did, but I'm trying to focus on what I can do to support Jack now that he's taking his recovery seriously. When I wrote my first 2 posts, I was in a place of deep frustration with Jack, and though nothing I said was incorrect or a lie, I definitely painted a picture of Jack's most negative moments without everything else. I want to remind everyone about Jack's trauma. Jack was a victim of severe abuse by his biological family, including extensive CSA, Liam also, but Jack's was a lot more intense. Jack jokes now that he was their biological father's favorite in all the wrong ways. Jack got into drugs at a pretty young age, but has been clean, or so I thought, for a while. I mentioned this before, but Jack has told me in the past that even now, almost 20 years after he was adopted by our parents, there is not a day where he doesn't think/have nightmares about his abuse. He says the only moments of peace he gets is when he's high. Jack's trauma runs deep, and it's something that continues to affect him every day. I'm not making excuses for his actions, but I do think it's important to remember that he's dealing with a lot of pain. Despite everything, I still believe in Jack. I believe that he has the strength to overcome his past, and with Liam and me by his side, I'm hopeful that he can get through this. I also want to take a moment to thank everyone who offered advice and support on my last post. Your words helped me see things from a different perspective and gave me the push I needed to approach this situation with more compassion. There's still a long road ahead, but I'm optimistic that we're on the right path now. For now, things are looking up. Jack is taking his treatment seriously, and our family is slowly healing. We're taking things one day at a time, and I'm committed to supporting Jack as long as he's committed to helping himself. Thank you all again for your support. Your advice has been invaluable during this difficult time. Now on to the next story. Story 2. Caught my wife cheating and showed the video to our kids. I also sent it to her sick mom and her boss. Hello, everyone. I'll try to keep this post short. My wife, 32F, cheated on me, 35M. She and I have been married since she was 22 and I thought our marriage was perfect. We have 2 children, both boys, 7 and 6 years old. I had my suspicions because she started coming to our house 40 minutes late after work. This lasted for 3 weeks until I decided to find out what was going on. I hired a private investigator who got photos and videos of her with her lover, her coworker, so I decided to take revenge. I sent those videos to her mother, who has a terminal illness. I don't want her to die thinking that her daughter is an angel. Send those videos to her friends, to my family, to her boss, since at her work they have a strict rule of no relations between workers and the lover's wife. My kids were at my parents' house before that happened, and she was working. I asked my boss for a few days off. That's why I was able to do all this during work hours. Then I showed the video to my kids of her mom with her lover and I told them that because of her we were going to get divorced. Of course they didn't take it well. They cried, hugged me, etc. I will take them to a psychologist after I divorce my wife. We live in a at-fault state, so the fact that I have proof of her infidelity will help me in the divorce. I will admit it, I was not the perfect husband, but I never ever did anything wrong for her to cheat on me. Why did she do it? I don't know, and at the moment I don't care. After all this, my older brother approached me, and he and I spoke privately. He told me that I was an asshole to my children, he understands my desire for revenge, but that I traumatized them by showing him those videos and talking to them like that about their mother. I told him that it was my wife's fault, not mine, but he told me he understands me, but he thinks that I should have waited a little before telling them. We argued for about 30 minutes. My brother told me again that I was an asshole. He is my brother and he loves me, but he thinks I was cruel to the children. That happened 3 days ago, and I haven't been able to stop thinking about it. So, Ida? If you're wondering, my wife has tried to contact me and talk to me and the kids, but they don't want to see her and neither do I. From what I know, she is staying at her sister's house. Edit. I forgot to say that the reason I told my children that and showed them the video is because I didn't want their mother to try to blame me for the divorce. In my head I had to show them the proof that I wasn't the bad guy, and that is why I showed them the video. Comment. GBHNN_, you showed a 6 and 7-year-old a video of their mother with another man? You're a creepy weirdo and Uda. Update, August 15, 2024. Several people asked me for an update on private, so I will give it. I will try to keep it short. Also, many of you think that my story is false because it is not original. Truth be told, that made me laugh. What? You expect me to say that a unicorn came down from the sun? Believe me or not, it's your problem. I won't get on me knees so that you believe me. Basically, my wife cheated on me. I got proof, and I showed that proof to my kids so that they knew I was not the bad guy in our divorce, at least on my mind. That's the short version. A few days after posting, my wife asked me to meet her in public. I knew that sooner or later I had to talk to her, so I went there, a park. The conversation lasted about 2 hours, but these are the most important things. She told me that, because I sent the proof of her cheating to her mother, who has a terminal illness, her mother was devastated and disappointed with her. I told her it was her fault, not mine. She told me that her ex-lover's wife lost the baby. I forgot to say that his wife was pregnant. Because of the proof I sent to her of her husband cheating with my wife, I told her that it was his fault, not mine. She told me what many of you said, that she could press charges against me for sharing those videos with others, the videos of her cheating, that I could lose custody of my children. Yes, biologically they are mine. I did something that I am not proud of. I emotionally manipulated her. I cried, because although it may not seem like it, all of this really left me emotionally shaken. I cried. I told her it was her fault and that I felt cornered. She cried. We cried for about 20 minutes until we were able to calm down. We talked and came to an agreement. She will keep the house and I will move out. She will have custody of the children, but I have the right to visit them as much as I want, whenever I want. She didn't lose her job because apparently her dad is friends with her boss. I know that legally this is wrong, but all things considered, this ended well for me. I won't shake things more. I don't know if her ex-lover keep the job or no, and honestly, I don't care now. I am currently helping my wife rebuild her relationship with our children. Little by little, they promised that they would try for me, and I decided to take them to a psychologist now so that the divorce will be less heavy on them. So yeah, that is the update. Is this original enough for you all? Lol. Comments. Moto, Kenji 25. I'm guessing her attorney advised her that what he did was illegal. So in lieu of not reporting it to authorities and not having it come up in court, he just gave in. Oop. When I was a child, my father taught my brothers and me that if someone treats us badly, we should treat them much worse, so that they would regret the day they met us. That's what I did. Maybe I went too far with my children, but for the rest I feel like I did nothing wrong. Obviously I am happy that in the end things will go well for me in the divorce. Oop on why he was showing the video to his children. Oop. In my eyes, I didn't do it to hurt my wife. I did it so that they could see with their own eyes that she was the bad one and responsible for our divorce, not me.